Imagine a world where every dollar, pound, or franc you held represented a tiny piece of actual gold. This was the reality for many countries for nearly a century under the gold standard, a system that tied the value of money directly to gold. Before the gold standard, various forms of money existed, from coins to paper money. However, their value often fluctuated, making trade and investment risky. The gold standard aimed to solve this by establishing a fixed relationship between a country's currency and a specific quantity of gold. This meant that countries promised to exchange their paper money for gold at a fixed rate. For instance, the United States guaranteed that $1 could always be exchanged for a specific weight of gold. This simple yet powerful idea formed the bedrock of the international financial system, fostering global trade and investment through its promise of stability and predictability. The gold standard was more than just a technical arrangement. It was a system built on trust. For it to work, people had to believe that their governments would keep their promises to redeem their currencies for gold. This trust wasn't blind faith. It stemmed from the belief that gold, a tangible and universally valued precious metal, provided a stable and reliable store of value. Unlike paper money, which could be printed excessively, gold was finite and difficult to mine, ensuring its scarcity and inherent value. By pegging their currencies to gold, countries effectively surrendered control over their monetary policy to the amount of gold they possessed or could acquire. This had profound implications for their economies, as we'll explore further. The success of the gold standard relied heavily on international cooperation. Countries had to coordinate their monetary policies to maintain the fixed exchange rates, creating a system of interdependence that fostered global economic integration. Imagine a world before airplanes, where ships were the primary mode of international transport. Now, picture those ships carrying not just goods but also gold, constantly moving across oceans to settle accounts between nations. This was the mechanism that kept the gold standard afloat. When a country exported more than it imported, it received a surplus of gold. This influx of gold increased the money supply, leading to lower interest rates and stimulating economic growth. Conversely, a trade deficit resulted in gold outflows, contracting the money supply, raising interest rates and slowing down the economy. This self-regulating mechanism helped to balance trade and prevent large trade imbalances. If a country imported too much, the outflow of gold would automatically curb its spending and restore equilibrium. However, this automatic adjustment came at a cost. Economies under the gold standard were susceptible to booms and busts driven by gold discoveries or shortages. Moreover, governments had limited tools to manage domestic economic fluctuations, such as unemployment or inflation, as their monetary policies were constrained by the amount of gold they held. The gold standard wasn't without its merits. For many, its most significant advantage was price stability. With currencies tied to gold, inflation was kept in check. This predictability made long-term planning easier for businesses and individuals alike. This stability extended beyond national borders. The fixed exchange rates between currencies fostered international trade and investment. Businesses could engage in cross-border transactions with confidence, knowing that exchange rate fluctuations wouldn't erode their profits. This era of globalization saw a surge in international capital flows, facilitating investment in infrastructure, industry, and innovation. The gold standard, by providing a stable and predictable financial environment, played a crucial role in this unprecedented economic integration. Moreover, the gold standard imposed fiscal discipline on governments. They couldn't simply print money to finance their spending, as excessive money creation would lead to gold outflows and undermine their commitment to the gold standard. Section 5. Cracks in the golden armor, the challenges of the gold standard. While the gold standard offered stability, it wasn't without its flaws. One major criticism was its inflexibility. Governments had limited ability to respond to economic downturns. Lowering interest rates to stimulate growth or increasing government spending were not viable options under the strictures of the gold standard. Furthermore, the gold standard's stability was often at the expense of economic growth. The need to maintain sufficient gold reserves often led to deflationary pressures. This meant falling prices, which, while seemingly beneficial, could stifle investment and economic activity. The discovery of new gold mines could also disrupt the system. A sudden influx of gold could lead to inflation, undermining the very price stability the gold standard aimed to achieve. Conversely, a shortage of gold could trigger deflation, further hindering economic growth. Critics argued that the gold standard favored creditor nations over debtor ones. Countries that lent money benefited from the fixed value of their loans, while debtor nations struggled to repay their debts as their currencies appreciated against gold. Section 6. The collapse of the gold standard wars, depressions, and a new era. The outbreak of World War I marked a turning point for the gold standard. The conflict forced many countries to abandon the system to finance their war efforts. They printed vast sums of paper money, severing the link between their currencies and gold. The post-war period saw attempts to resurrect the gold standard, but the world had changed. The war had left many countries with massive debts and depleted gold reserves. The Great Depression of the 1930s delivered the final blow. The economic turmoil of the Depression led to bank runs and a loss of confidence in the financial system. Countries desperate to stimulate their economies abandoned the gold standard one after another. They devalued their currencies to boost exports and gain a competitive edge in the global market. The era of the gold standard came to an end, replaced by a new system of floating exchange rates and greater government intervention in monetary policy. The world had learned a harsh lesson about the limitations of tying its financial fortunes to a single commodity, however precious it might be. Section 7. Echoes of Gold, the legacy of the gold standard. Though the gold standard is a relic of the past, its legacy continues to shape modern finance. Debates about its merits and drawbacks persist, with some advocating for its return as a solution to contemporary economic challenges. The gold standard's emphasis on fiscal discipline and price stability continues to resonate with some economists and policymakers. They argue that tying currencies to a fixed standard, whether gold or a basket of commodities, could curb inflation and promote responsible government spending. However, the gold standard's historical shortcomings are hard to ignore. Its inflexibility, its susceptibility to external shocks like gold discoveries, and its potential to exacerbate economic downturns make it an unpopular choice for most economists today. Nevertheless, the gold standard serves as a reminder of the importance of trust and stability in financial systems. It highlights the need for credible institutions and sound monetary policies to foster economic growth and prosperity. Section 8. Conclusion Lessons Learned from a Golden Past. The gold standard, a system that once governed the global financial order, offers valuable lessons for today's world. Its rise and fall demonstrate the delicate balance between stability and flexibility in economic management. While the gold standard's era of fixed exchange rates and limited government intervention is over, its legacy endures. It reminds us that trust, predictability, and sound monetary policies are essential for a thriving global economy. As we navigate the complexities of modern finance, understanding the gold standard's successes and failures provides a historical lens through which to view contemporary debates about monetary policy, inflation, and the role of government in managing the economy. The gold standard, though relegated to the history books, continues to offer valuable insights into the enduring challenges of building a stable and prosperous global financial system.